my name is Maddie Poirier, and I chose to research the wisdom of parenting for my capstone project. My thesis is I believe that it is very important to take parenting seriously. It is said in psychology today to be the ultimate long-term investment. Being a parent means that you will constantly have someone looking at you for your guidance and encouragement. But that being said, you will need to lead them in the correct direction so they can find their own wisdom. Affection as a child. Receiving affection as a child is very important, probably more important than you thought. If you were not given enough affection as a child, your brain could underdevelop. It could affect your mental health, your physical development, and how you display affection. Your brain is directly related to the amount of affection you receive as a toddler. It is noted that the brain development after birth is shaped by an interesting amount of genes and experiences. The factors in this environment and experiences can be directly affected to your brain development, and this includes the access to your caregivers. Your mental health needs proper development with some kind of caregiving that is trustworthy. The lack of a secure attachment often hurts a child's ability to build a healthy relationship as a growing adult. They may have a hard time connecting with new people, have difficulty trusting people, and be afraid of relationships. Your physical development could be tested if you are not given a caregiver that will make sure that you are consuming a good nutrition. This could also stunt your growth. In psychology today, it was reported that there was a man that met a boy who he thought was 6 years old when in fact he was actually 17 years old because of, this was not because of malnutrition, but because their body did not produce sufficient growth hormones. Being able to display affection is a big deal, especially as you get older. When you are young, it is important to see that you are shown love through singing, reading together, hugging, and creating gifts and projects together. Lack of doing this could create an adult that does not know how to show love to its significant other one day. The technical term of parenting is rearing the child, or the state of being a parent. I asked 4 different age groups of mothers a series of questions to see how they view parenting. I asked a grandmother who has successfully raised children and who have raised their own children. I asked a mother who has kids grown up and in college. I asked a new mother whose oldest son is 6 and youngest is 2. And I asked a newly engaged woman how she was planning on raising her kids in the next few years. The first question I asked was, what does parenting mean to you? All 4 mothers responded with a variation of putting yourself before your children and sacrifice. Also, it is the most important job in the world. This is awesome to hear because I thought that the definition of parenting was a little bit insincere. Other questions I asked the mothers were, how did you see yourself raising your kids as a child? Is this the way that you've begun to raise your kids? If not, what has changed? And is there anything you would change if you could go back? The grandmother explained that she was raised by a very strict mother who was the disciplinarian in the family. So she planned on doing the same in her future family. This is not how she started raising her family. She married a man who took over the disciplinary figure in the relationship, but neither of them expected nothing but obedience from their children. Although they were raised in a strict home, they knew that they were part of a family and they respected each other. She also stated, when your children are small, you do not think much of social influences that they will encounter. To me, this was very interesting due to how children are affected by how they grow and who they interact with and how they are shown love. She also said there is nothing that she would change if she could go back. She raised 7 well-adjusted children with a very happy childhood. The mother replied that she grew up thinking that she would always have more than 4 kids. She said that she believed that she would be a caring mother who would have fun with their kids. She wanted to be involved in their lives with their schooling and sporting activities. Although she did not end up having a big family like she planned, she stayed true to her wishes, and she was a big factor in her family. She stated that there is nothing that she would change if she could go back. Her kids received unconditional love and support. The new mother said that she did not realize how hard parenting really is. She grew up with 2 loving parents who always supported her no matter what. Her mother was not only her mom, but her best friend too. She always felt safe to go talk to her. This is how she wanted to raise her children. And this is how she started raising her children. But one thing she said is that it is a lot harder than she expected. Because she's such a young mother, she said that there's nothing she would change yet. And for the soon-to-be mother, or newly engaged mother, I asked a different series of questions. How do you see yourself raising your kids when you were younger? And is this still how you plan on raising your kids? If not, what has changed? She answered, she always imagined herself raising kids to be very active and respectful. But now that she's older, she's realized that her family and parents taught her that there is so much more to life. She wants to raise her kids still to be active and respectful, but she also wants her children to know that they are loved, and they are loved constantly. I enjoyed this survey more than I expected. I got to see how mothers planned on raising their kids and how their relationship has changed it in some ways. Some quotes for you. It is easier to build a strong child than to repair broken men. I find this very true because as people get older, it's very hard to change their personality and how they react to certain situations. And also, parents can only give good advice or put them on the right path, but the final forming of the person's character lies within their own hands. This is very true when it comes to wisdom. You are on your own to find your own wisdom. You can't have someone tell you who you are and what you're supposed to be. You have to find that on your own. In my closing, getting to be a parent is a huge privilege, and is not all people see it that way. Some people see children as a burden, or they physically can't have children. Those of you who are lucky enough to have children, don't take it for granted. Your kids, show your kids how to be stand-up adults and lead them in the wise path. Those are my sources.